We're back here again. So thank you for joining me here. Tonight we are working on the bunny sewing pattern. We started this on Monday and we cut out all our pieces and we have two little ears done. We finished that yesterday. So, all right, tonight we are continuing on this. Thank you for joining me here. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginning crafters. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So again, you guys, we are working on the bunny sewing pattern. Here is our little sample finished bunny. All right, hold on a sec. There, I'm going to just jump right to here. So here is our bunny. This is kind of like our little sample bunny, and I am making mine with a gray outside, and then it has these cute little strawberry ears and like a strawberry belly. But this is what he'll look like when he's done. So let's keep going tonight. I do have my my new little magnetic pin catcher here. It's that slap bracelet that I had on last night, and I'm just really having fun using it. So I do have these in the shop now. There's a link below if you guys are curious about them. But they're like those old school slap bracelets, but they have silicone over them now, so they're kind of like, I feel like they're kind of like a little Apple Watch. But I have my pins on there, and that's been working really well so far. We'll be doing a lot more pinning tonight. So let's see where we left off. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Let me just scroll down your comments there. All right. Hello, hello. Okay, so we left off on the ears. So we are on step 5 here. Align the raw edge of both ears, the fabric color 2, that's the inside of the ears, the side up, along the right side of the head gusset piece B. That's the rectangular one. Place the ears so that they are a half an inch from the long edges of the head gusset piece. So let's just lay those out here. So what we're really doing is leaving enough room for a seam allowance, really. So about a half inch from the edge, and I'm using the image as just a guide. So that folded over piece goes on the inside versus this way. You don't want them that way. And it'll be hard to put it that way anyway, because if you really want this edge straight against the fabric, you'd have to cross them over like that, and that's not what we're going for. So they both go along that edge in the middle. Oh, one other thing, if you're using your directional fabric, that's a fabric that the design all goes in one direction, like my flower fabric all goes in one direction. We cut it so that on the back of the head here, this is that gusset, they're going to go towards the ears, and we'll have a second piece here for the nose half. We want those to go towards the ears, so they're kind of, the direction is meeting, like the up is in the middle here. All right, so let's just keep reading. Pin the ears in place, and then with right sides together, align the straight edge of the head gusset C, that's this, along the same short edge of the head gusset, sandwiching the ears in the middle, pin and sew along the edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that is the deal. So let's give that a go. I am going to put my cutting board down again. I think that was helpful for me just to use pins, then I'm not scraping my table at all. We'll get to you pieces later. All right, so let's start by lining up that straight edge, and I want it like about a half of an inch, and you can even use the ruler if you want. It doesn't have to be exact, but what we do want is to be at least a 1/4 inch away so we can get that seam allowance in there. So I'm going to go about right there. So I'm pinning it in place. So we'll actually pin again, but we want to let that sit in place while we do this other one. While we get that head, the nose piece kind of figured out. Okay, align that straight edge. About like so. Okay, there we be. Next up, we are going to put the right sides together. So here's the straight edge of that second gusset piece. I'm going to flip that so all of our straight edges here are together, and I'm going to basically re-pin this in place. So I'm going to just remove this pin and I'm going to put it right back in place. Like so, and same thing over here. Okay, so there we go, and we're just gonna sew across this edge with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you can already see we're gonna have like our little bunny ears started. Ugh, he's so cute. All right. So I saw some of your photos over in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group on Facebook of your bunnies so far, and they're just so darling. I'm having a really good time seeing them all. All right, you know what? Let's get my leader started here. I was sewing another project last night, and I took it off the machine here. All right, so I want to do a little back tack here, just again to keep everything kind of locked down. Back tacking, just going reverse for a few stitches and then forward again. It's kind of like tying a knot at the beginning of the row. And that'll be good because we'll be handling this a lot. All right, I'm throwing that back on my wrist. So remember, we did put those... we basted the ears at 1/8 of an inch. Now we're kind of going over that, but 1/4 inch away. So we should be hiding those stitches that we did earlier. Okay, back tacking again here. I want to grab another leader from my leader and ender bin here. All right, let's see what we got here. Here's the start of our little bunny's head here. So we got his little ears tucked in there. So all right, I think we do want to press this, pin it so along the edge. We did that. Press the seam towards the head gusset B piece. So we're gonna press it towards the back here. All right, I'm gonna grab my iron. Let's do that. I think I'll just get it on the top here and give it a little press this direction. All right, those ears are looking awfully cute. Just get it this way. Okay, that's that. The head gusset is now complete. So, all right, we will come back to this later. And next up, we are going to work on the sides of the face, so the head. So let's grab, so we're on step 6 now. With right sides together, pin and sew the head pieces, D, starting at the underside of the nose, that's right here, and sewing towards the neck. And then we're going to clip the seam allowances like how we did the ears. So let's grab those. So now we probably don't need too many pins yet, but the next step, once we sew all 3 of these guys together, that's when we're gonna get our pins really going. So I'm gonna just put right sides together, and I'm gonna sew from the nose down the edge here. So I'll put 1 pin. We'll do the pin where we kind of go right in the middle here. That'll hold the pieces together enough that they won't move, but it's not in the way of me sewing it all. All right, I think I'll go this way, actually. Yeah, I'm going to pin it the other way. I'll go zoop, right like that. Oh, Marie says it's so adorable already. Thank you so much. I'm pretty happy with the color choices on this. I'm excited. All right, so 1/4 inch. Doing my little back tack. And I'm going to go a little slow here. There's a lot of curves, so I may need to lift up my presser foot a little bit to turn just gradually so I can get this curve. I know some newer machines do this like a whole lot easier, and maybe I just don't have the sewing skills to like magically get all these curves really well, but I do like to just pause for a sec with the needle down and rotate just a tiny bit if the curve is too tight. All right, back tack a little bit, just going in reverse, and then forward, and let's grab another leader to finish this one up. I love that I can work on my leader and ender quilt while I'm doing these other projects. It just gets further and further along. Alright, so let's get rid of this leader. There we are. That is step 6 here. Okay, okay, we still have one little bit to do yet. Clip the seam allowance at the inward curves and cut notches out of the outward curve. So we have our inward curve here and our outward curve there. And so we talked about the clipping a little bit last night. I wonder how well these little guys will do for clipping. So again, that's just those little triangles. So the outward, or cutting notches. So cutting notches are on the outward curves. That's where we cut those little triangles. And I used my pinking shears for that. Tonight I'm just cutting a few pieces. And that's, remember, where we have the outward curve and then you have to turn them inside out. They kind of all have to, they all need a spot to go because it was an outward curve, but when you turn it inside out, it goes into an inward curve, and that's a lot of fabric that you got to bunch in there. So by clipping or by cutting notches out of the curve, we're reducing the bulk of fabric when we turn this right side out. And just the opposite for inward curves. So inward curves, when you flip them, you're actually kind of stretching them out. And to allow it to help to stretch, because it's going in the other direction, we're going to just cut clips in it. And you can kind of see, oh, thanks, Valeria. Oh, I appreciate that. All right, so you can see, like with an outward curve like this, if we flip it, we want those to bunch together. But with an outward curve, it stretches, so we need to allow that seam to have a place to go. So that's why the clips, the little snips on the inside, and then the notches on the outward. All right, so that's that. Ah, that's nice, Valeria. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's move on. We are on page 4 here. We're cruising on this. All right, so open up the 2 head pieces, D, so that's right there, what we just sewed. And with the right sides together, center the nose tip of the head gusset to the nose seam of the head pieces. Pin the nose tip to the seam. All right, let's start there. Let's open this up. You know, it's already looking wacky, right? This is with toys, you always have these kind of odd shapes that you got to deal with, right? So this right here, within this dip, right at that seam, that is where the nose is going to be. You can kind of see, so here's the head and the nose. So when we open the head up, that's the nose seam right there. We're going to match up the nose from this head gusset. That's going to be right there. We're going to match that up right with the nose seam. And this is where the pins are going to start coming into play, and you're going to just kind of squish and maneuver this in place. I might even pop this right side out a little bit and then match up that seam with the point of the nose, and let's throw a pin right in there. There. That is that step. We're already getting wonky. Okay, so next up, with the right sides together, carefully pin one side of the head gusset to the matching head piece. So like this side will pin to this side of the head we pin to this side. You know, this is like a long straight line, and this is a curved line. We're actually going to match up this straight line to the curved line. That is our ultimate plan here. So carefully pin one side of the head gusset to the matching head D-piece edge. Starting at the nose, okay, sew along the pin edge, making sure to move the ears out of the way, and then repeat on the other side. Got it. All right, the big idea here is the pinning. So I'm going to do a few things to help us out. Remember we had that ear marking here? I'm going to go ahead and align this ear seam to that ear marking. And we actually want the ears out of the way. So I'm going to shimmy this ear out of the way. I'm just going to fold it out of the way there. And we wanted that seam to go backwards. There, let's get a pin in that, and we will work our way around. This is where it gets fussy. But let's just go little by little and pin, and we're going to try and have this edge equal up to that ear line. So use as many pins as you need. Kind of at every little curve, I put one in. And feel free to lift it up like this and just really get them to go. Get this whole thing to go where you need it. And again, we want these pieces to kind of meet. You may have to like maneuver them a little bit, but they should kind of, the edges should match up pretty well as far as distance goes. So that curve distance is the same distance as the straight distance. Okay, so it looks crazy, but this is actually from the tip of the nose to the ears, sewn on the side from the tip of the nose to the ears there as well. And now I'm going to just continue down the back of the head here. So they should meet up at the end, but I'm going to just pin and just have it end up wherever it ends up. Like I said, it should match, but that part's where it meets at the neck is a little less important, I think. But in theory, it should all match up. And take your time pinning. This is the joy of toy making. It will be a lot of pinning heads and head gussets together. But it ends up so cute that it ends up being really fun, I think. Yeah, I'm really, thanks Marie and Lisa, I'm really kind of loving this fabric. It was fun to just go through my stash of fat quarters and pick, and these two were definitely calling to me. Uh, yeah, we're basically meeting up at the end here. I'll get a pin here. Just I like the idea of just a gray bunny, like all the bunnies in our yard. Actually, I guess our bunnies are a little bit more brown, but in my head it's kind of like that gray brown. A white bunny would have been kind of cute too. And then I just saw those strawberries and I'm like, ugh, so cute. And like a little white belly. You know, like how like cats have white bellies and dogs have white bellies sometime. I thought, oh, this bunny can have a white belly. All right, we have one side of this. I mean, it looks crazy, right? So from the top, you can see we got it all pinned all the way to the nose, and from the side, you can see what that looks like too. All right, so we are going to sew from the nose to the back here. So the nose is the important part here, and actually when we do the next side, we're also going to go from the nose beyond. So let's give it a go. That's going to be tricky right here, but once we stuff it and sew the nose on, like the embroidered nose, we can work on, you know, what the shape of this is going to look like. So if you're having a hard time or you feel like you did it wrong or whatever, don't worry. I'm sure it will be totally fine. There's room to play with it. So I am going to go slow, and a little stiletto is helpful, and I am going to do my little back tacking as well. So let's get our 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just do the best you can with the seam allowance. Getting a little back tack in close to where the seam would be. All right. Oops, I'm already getting my seam allowance crazy. Let's keep going. Oh, I'm used to setting those right next to me with the clips when I do the Wonder Clips. So I'm just like automatically putting my pins there, but I do have that magnetic armband that I'm using. I do not prescribe to the sew over your pins. I just think that's a recipe for like getting a needle right in a pin, which I don't know, that does not sound nice. All right, it's pretty thick here, so because this is where I'm folding the ear out of the way, so this part of the presser foot is going to have to go over that, so I might have to help it just a hair. And we seem pretty good yet. Good. Let's keep rotating. You're going to have to keep moving stuff out of the way. But I think we got it, and the nice thing is we'll be able to peek at it before we do the next side, so I'm excited to see what that looks like. See what it looks like so far. So all these little little puckers, I'm going to try and get that just so they're beyond that 1/4 inch. So I don't end up with a pucker. This one might get a little pucker here, but that won't be the end of the world. There we go. I think we're home free. Just take your time and go slow. All right. I don't think I sewed the ear in. Nope, we're good. All right, get a little back tack. And I'll get my leader in here. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, this guy off of here. All right, let's peek. I'm nervous. All right, so let's turn it. I'm just turning it right side out for a moment just to peek. There we go. We got this side of the head attached to the nose. Oh, my nose is a little goofy, but I think it'll end up being cute. All right, so this is this side. Here's the back of it connected. All right, let's turn it right side out, or like wrong side out again, I guess. And then let's work on this side of the nose. Oh, I think I totally did a huge pucker in the nose. But we're going to cover that up with some stitching, so I'm not too worried. All right, let's work on this other side. Same thing, I'm going to just pin the heck out of this. So we're also, just so you guys know, we are making this out of quilting weight fabric. Just because I know that's what a lot of us have on hand for sure. But making stuffed animals in general can be a lot easier with some other fabrics that are a hair more forgiving. Oh, call John, ding ding, I wish there was a bell. Oh, did I do something totally wrong? Yeah, I missed your guys' comments here. I'm scrolling through. I thought, Robin wants to know what size your leader and ender squares are. Oh, okay. All right, good. Sorry, you guys. The comments stopped scrolling, so I didn't realize that you guys had all the comments going. So, all right, yes, my leader and ender squares are 3 inches, and they are ending up as after they're sewn, like after they're sewn like this, once I cut them and I have open them like this, I have the 2, and I trim these to 2.5 inches, and they're just 2.5 inches. And I'm being kind of sewing all over the place. So, but yes, I started out with 3 inches, and I'm trimming them to 2.5. So ultimately, they're 2.5 inches. There, I can see the comments again there. So, sorry about that. Yep, they just stopped scrolling, and I just thought no one was talking. Would it be harder with chenille or minky fabric, Jenna's saying? They would be... Okay, both of those would hide some mistakes. So the thing with quilting weight cotton, it is not like this, what we're using. It's not going to hide any mistakes. Oh, I forgot to, let's pin up at the ear here first and get the ear out of the way. This is not going to hide any mistakes whatsoever, and I already know that we'll be able to see some because I squished this nose together a little bit. But so like with a minky fabric and stuff, that will be like your mistakes will be a lot more hidden. Ooh, I might actually repin this a little bit now that I've pinned up there. However, sewing with fluffy stuff is not all that easy either, and it gets fluff everywhere. But it will hide a lot. Wool felt is really, really forgiving as far as toys go. And it's not nearly as fluffy, so that's kind of fun if you have any like wool felt laying around. Not normal felt that can tear and is hard to stuff and everything, but like real 100% wool felt can be really nice. I'm having a little trouble pinning all this. We'll just make it work. There we go. Now we're cooking here. One more here. And then we're to that ear, where the ear seam meets that ear marking. And now we can go to the back of the head, which is much easier. But yeah, so this, don't be discourage if you see a few puckers here or there or whatever. Quilting weight fabric, like I said, is just the least forgiving. Oh, I should show you. I'll find it. I think I know where it is. I'm cleaning up all my stuff, so some of my stuff I just have to remember where it is. But I did make this bunny, or a very similar one. I think it was when I was testing this bunny. I did make it out of wool felt, and it looks so cute. So I'll bring that. I'll show that tomorrow. I'll go grab it when we're done here and show you that tomorrow. So you can make this pattern with different fabric. I originally did it with the quilting weight because I made it for like quilt market, a trade show, and originally, and then made it into a pattern. So I was using quilting weight cotton for that. But yeah, I sewing with 100% wool, like wool fabric, especially once it's been kind of like washed, so it's shrunken down a little bit and fluffy. That's so nice to work with for toys. It stretches and moves to just the right spot, but it's still woven, so it won't be like, if you stitch with a knit, you got to worry about like knit kind of stretches one way a whole lot more than the other way. So you have to think about that, like how your bunny's gonna stretch. So that's not as fun. But man, yeah, some wool fabric. That's my favorite for sure. All right, we are gonna be all bunchy at this nose, like I said. So with the wool fabric, you wouldn't be able to see any of this, but you'll see it a lot here. So I'm gonna have a little crazy bunchy nose, but we'll just deal with it. We'll put some stitches on top of it. So whatever, it'll be fine. Okay, let's work my way on here. So I still want to go from the nose down. So I'm gonna actually use the opposite side. You know, I could actually flip it this way. I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to sew it from this direction. That might be a little weird, but I think we're going to do it anyway. Just so my seam allowance can be over here. Okay, my nose is going to be a little bit bunchy, but again, I'm just going to deal. So I'm trying to move as much fabric out of the way as I can, so it's not too bunchy. Oh, and let's back tack here again. It would have been better if I started just right on the seam of the nose and didn't start on the edge, because I needed to like have that edge for this side, but whatever. This will work too. So I'm just trying to make this as the least bunchy as I can here. All right, I'm going to get rid of both of those. There, now we're decent. The only other thing I gotta do is move that ear out of the way when we get that far. I'm sure you guys will do a much better job than me on this nose and the ears. We're approaching the ear and it feels out of the way, so I think we're home free there. All right, that's the ear line, so I'm just going to make sure that the ear is moved out of the way for this next bit, and it already is. It's just naturally moved out of the way for this one, I think. We'll see, I guess. I might have to re-stitch that little part. It's an adventure. So if you have the needle down position on your machine, definitely use that. That's helpful for all of this. then you can pivot easier and stuff. All right, I think we got it here. Let's see how we did. And I dropped a pin on the ground, so let me grab that quick. Plop it back on my wrist. All right, let's see what this looks like. I think we can turn it right side out now. Repeat on the other side of the head. Again, sew from the nose towards the neck. Trim the seam allowance at the nose tip. Oh yeah. So we got a lot of bulk at the nose tip here, so I am going to just kind of trim it a little bit. Just a hair though. Because again, that fabric needs to go somewhere when we turn it right side out. All right, let's see what he's starting to look like. Can pop the ears out and just kind of push the nose out a little bit. And there, see, it doesn't look so bunchy. I do have a few puckers here, but I think it's actually gonna turn out fine when we stuff it. So I'm kind of pushing my finger out the nose here a little bit, and we do have a little bit of a pucker, but look! Oh, I'm trying to just poof him up a little bit so we can see. It's kind of like a little puppet at this point. There we go, I have my nose here, and he's cute. My little puppet. All right, we got a little bunny head here started, and I'm just loving this gray and the white more and more as we use it. So there we go. So we have the two sides, and it was that gusset that gave it a little bit of width. And once we stuff this, it'll even get a little bit wider here. But all right, yay! Okay, I'm really happy with that. Okay, so next up is really us embroidering the eyes and the nose here. So I did that before stuffing it, just because then you can have access to the back. You could definitely do that after. And you know what? Maybe we'll do that after. So, yeah, okay. Go ahead if you want to stitch the eyes on right now. We have those dots for the eyes. And for the nose, you almost just want to go... and there's directions here as well for how to do the eyes. You can do a back stitch or a satin stitch, fill it in. For the nose, you want to use your seams. So a nose for a bunny is like, you got these three lines. You got like the nose and the little mouth line. So all we're doing is like a little Y. So that's the nose, and then you have the little kind of bottom of the nose where it goes to the mouth. So that like Y, you're kind of making a letter Y, and you want to think about your seam as a Y. So the head gusset seams are right here. So you got one, and you're going towards that nose. So you go towards the nose seam, and then down the nose seam is the Y. So that's kind of what you want to follow for the little mouth. You could even actually put a little smile underneath it if you wanted. We might play around with that. I think for this time, I think I will stitch on the eyes, and maybe we can even use buttons. I'm going to see if we can use some variations for this. Feel free to stitch it. Stitching is definitely better if you are giving this to a child. But then you can use something else too, like little buttons would be cute. Linda's saying, why not sew the eyes on when flat? Oh, you could do that. So you could have, we could have sewn it before we even, we could have stitched the eyes on before we even sewed this together. You could absolutely do that. I kind of have it at this stage because we still have access to the back, which is nice. But then we can do the nose at the same time. But there is something about making the whole thing first and stuffing it, and then you can see where you might want to place it. Like if you want them a little higher, or if stuffing it, if it got a little wonky in one spot, you might want to move the eyes around. Typically, with stuffed animal design, you will do all that after. So all the extra stitching, like, little paws or the nose or the eyes. A lot of times you're going to do that after, unless you're using like special safety eyes. So like children's like plastic safety eyes. If you had some of those, like now would be the time to do that as well. And ooh, that might actually be really cute too. I do have some of those, I think. Well, we'll think about that. I'm going to see what's next here. I can always, I think we're moving on to the body for a little bit. Yeah. So we're going to work on the body, and then we attach the head a little bit later. So we can think on this. Maybe I'll get a few buttons out and we can kind of test drive them a little bit. You could actually even stuff the head a little bit too, just to see kind of what it's going to look like before doing the eyes. Or, like I said, you can do the whole thing when it's done. I'm kind of undecided. So we'll think about it. Oh, yep, Nolene says you could applique eyes on. Oh, most definitely. That would be so cute. Gosh, maybe that would be fun to do. We could do like kind of big outside eyes and then like a little kind of circle in the middle of that. That'd be really cute, just hand stitched on. All right, I think I'm just wavering because I haven't decided how I want to do the eyes yet. But I can still do them while it's unstuffed like that if we decide to tomorrow, because I can move on to the body for a little bit tonight, and we'll have to make a final decision tomorrow. So I'll get some items out, and maybe we can stuff the head just so you can get a sense of it a little bit, and we can just decide some bits and then unstuff it. Actually, before we attach the head, we will be stuffing it. There's a way to attach it where you don't have to do it like that, and I'll talk about that. But let's get the body done first. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get the body done, and then we will. We'll decide on the head, what we want to do for the eyes and nose, and take care of that. Either do it or don't do it, and then. We'll move to attaching the head to the body. There are two ways you can do that. I only show a way to like hand stitch it on, which I like because then you can decide really well like how you want the head to sit on the body. We'll talk about that. But there is a way to stuff the head in the body and sew it and then turn it right side out and have it all like in place if you didn't want to hand stitch it. So we'll talk about that as well. But for now, since I can't make a decision, we are going to just set you aside, little head, and we're going to move on for the next 15 minutes that we have here. So let's do that. All right, and we are starting with the E piece, the two tail pieces. So we got this tail piece, and we have one of these. There we go. Our two tail pieces, our two E pieces, which are our tail pieces, and look how sweet those are together. Okay, with right sides together, pin and sew along the curved edge, leaving the straight edge open, cut notches around the curve, and turn right side out. Stuff the tail with fiber fill, leaving about a 1/2 inch space unstuffed at the opening, pin and sew shut with the 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so we are going to basically sew these. I'm going to get my stuffing out, and we are going to stuff these, and then we're doing that 1/8 inch, just stitching it shut once it's turned right side out, just the same way we did with the ears, so that everything's just held in place while we prep to sew it to the next thing. Oh, Patty says buttons would be cute for the eyes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of undecided on what I want to do, so I'll get a whole pile of options for eyes tomorrow, and then we can kind of decide. Because I actually have like stuffed animal toy eyes. That might be fun to play around with too. So we can embroider it in several different ways. We could do like some felt applique. We could do buttons, or we could do these like real like stuffed animal eyes. Too many choices for right now. I need a day with less choices, and then we can use up all the choices tomorrow when we're deciding on eyes. I think I will still hand stitch the nose. So here's, again, I could have just showed you guys this earlier. So it's just like a letter Y along the seams, and that's how we're making the face. I kind of want to add a little smile to him too. So I might stitch a little smile onto our bunny there. But yeah, so go ahead if you want, and you can stitch the nose like that. But that can be stitched after it's stuffed as well. So if you want to wait, that's totally fine. If you want to do it now, that's totally works as well. But I'll probably still do the same nose as this. It's just those eyes. The eyes I can't decide. Okay, grab my little pin here. I'm going to I've lined these up, and I'm just going to stick that one in the middle again so I can just have them stay together and I can still sew around. So let's do that. Zoop around there. We'll turn it right side out and stuff it. Oh, Marion is saying, Alyssa, you're my kind of person. Everyone I know will tell you I cannot make a decision to save my soul. Yeah, you know what? You gotta save the decisions for when you're capable of making them, and I'm telling you right now, even just making silly eyes is just like too much for me right now. So we'll decide that later. All right. So again, I gotta keep lifting up my presser foot just a hair to turn. I know some of these newer machines, you're able to slide underneath them a little easier to get these curves, but if I just keep moving it, these strong feed dogs just want to pull it straight. So it doesn't work as well on these kind of sharper curves. Oops, I didn't have my needle down there. Oh well. Anyway, we're done with that. Let's back tack. Oh, that guy's done. I need another leader. Gosh, I'll have to get my buttons out. I'll get those doll eyes out. I'll get that, the bunny made with the felt. I'm telling you, that wool felt is so nice. It's not actually wool felt, it's just woven wool that I've washed in hot water, so it's all felted up already. It's actually called fulling when you do that, I believe. But, you know, we can still call it felting. But yeah, it's woven wool that I've washed. So you can do it with like an old sweater or something too. It just sews so nicely. There's a lot of bulk when you deal with that, but it sews great. Like, you know, you can hide a lot of mistakes, more mistakes than you can hide with quilting weight fabric. Quilting weight fabric kind of shows everything. So a lot of pattern in your fabric, maybe that will help hide some things. All right, I'm going to grab my pinking shears again. This is where I want to cut notches out of all those curves again, because again, it's all that bulk that's going into a small space once we turn it right side out. So we need to reduce some of that bulk, and I'm just going to do it with the pinking shears. Cutting all those little triangles like nothing. This is my favorite thing, to cut notches with the pinking shears. Fun. All right, let's turn that right side out. And I'll get the stuffing out. That'll be fun. Getting our tail ready. So if you are going to do like a big pom-pom tail, then you can just totally skip this step. That will work just fine. I think I'm going to do like a little, instead of this bow, I'm going to do a little pom-pom necklace bow thing, I think. I don't know. You don't really need anything here, but I do think it's kind of a nice way to cover up like the neck seam if you don't like that. But I think it's kind of cute. So I think I'm going to do pom-poms for that instead of the tail. But yeah, like a big fluffy pom-pom, like a yarn pom-pom tail, or even old fabric like strips of fabric, doing a pom-pom out of that would be cute. Oh, look, and there's our flower that we kind of fussy cut on there. So this is the underneath of the tail, and this is the top of the tail. All right, I'm going to stuff this now. So that was the instructions. We are going to stuff the tail with fiber fill, leaving about a 1/2 inch or so of space unstuffed at the opening. That's just so we're able to like sew. So we'll stuff it to about here, and you know, it's not going to just stay there, so we will have to kind of squish it down as we sew. And then we're going to just sew an 1/8 inch along the edge here just to hold it in place. That's kind of like our basting. We're holding it in place temporarily. All right, so I bought all this like fiber fill a zillion years ago, and I still have a ton of it. It's like an eco-friendly polyester fiber fill. It's made from old bottles, I think. And I'm going to just grab a little poof of it. And it's like vacuum packed in that bag, so it actually is going to go a long way. So my suggestion is when you start stuffing, do it in little bits, especially when we stuff the whole, like the body of the bunny and the head of the bunny. We're actually going to want to pull off like little bits at a time. That's, I think, the big secret to stuffing is little bits at a time. Then it won't end up being like too chunky in places or anything. And I'm even going to have my hemostat on hand here just to push it down in here. If you have like a little, like a pencil or a chopstick or something, start using that to just stuff it in place. You can stuff a lot more in here than you think, but again, just go little by little. Floof it up a hair and then start getting it in there. Oh, Becky says use button eyes too. I know, that's kind of what I'm feeling, like cute little sweet button eyes. Ooh, and I even kind of have, oh, maybe that would be weird. I think I have some like eyes that might even have like a little red tint to them. That might be a little weird though, huh? I should just do like black button eyes. Would be sweet. Or maybe green, like a dark green, like, you know, what's in some of these leaves here. I don't know quite what my selection of buttons are, but I do know where they are. So that's positive item number 1. And I think I mean, they're color-coded, basically. My little bin of buttons. Ooh, I should say I think I know where they are. I think I know where they are. All right, this seems pretty stuffed, and you feel free to stuff as stiffly or as loosely as you want. I mean, even if you really stuff it, I think it will kind of relax after a little while, especially if you're just using some polyester stuffing like I am. So I think I'm good there. So I have, you know, there's kind of maybe a little bit more than a 1/2 inch here, but it'll just be I have it really kind of globbed here, so once it relaxes a little bit, I think there'll be plenty in here. I don't think I need any more. It can be a soft little tail. So, all right, I'm going to sew this edge, and you know what? I think I'm actually going to pin, just because it wants to pop open. So just throwing a pin in there is going to help me keep it solid there. So again, just an 1/8 inch. We're only basting this, so it just stays there. It's an 1/8 of an inch because later we'll do the real seam allowance of a 1/4 inch, and we don't want to see the seam where we kind of held this together. And I'm just going to try and squish all the all the stuffing out of the way. And get a little stiletto to help me out here, and we'll get like our 1/8 inch stitched down. And I didn't back tack, but this is temporary, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And I think I'll just get the leader that's already on here. All right, snip that off. And we have our cute little bitty tail. Oh gosh, stuffing makes such a mess here. I'm going to put that little bit of stuffing away. Feel free to wear your face mask when you're doing your stuffing. It's not a bad idea at all. All right, so here's our little tail. I'm not going to kind of push the stuffing down into the rest of it yet, because we do need to actually stitch this to the body yet, and having this stuffing as out of the way as possible still is going to be fine. But there we got our little tail coming up, so he'll be right there. That'll look cute. He's got a little flower growing out of his tail. That's kind of funny. All right, let's see. So I think we might stop there, but let's just get the next area prepped. Ugh, his little head is so cute. All right, tail done. All right, the next part is the fabric number 2. So this is going to be the bottom of his belly. So it's almost like a gussets to the side. So it makes the sides of his body wider, the same way that the head gusset made the head wider there. But you know, it's his belly and everything. So it's this piece right here, and then it swoops up to get like the chest of the bunny. Because remember, we're doing this weird kind of, he's a little goofy in that his body's offset. Like this side of the body is smaller than this side of the body. So if it looks weird to you, it is. It's on purpose, bigger on one side and smaller on the other side, so that his chest kind of comes up here and he kind of looks like he's just chilling, laying in the middle of the yard. Like all our bunnies do. They just kind of chill and hang out for a little while. So he is different on both sides, and that's why this piece in particular looks so goofy. So it's him laying down, and then this is the chest piece that comes up. And that will all happen naturally from when we sew them to our front pieces. Like, so this is that front. That's going to arc up in the same way. So it'll be kind of like so. But the first thing we want to do with this piece, and we'll do this tomorrow, is we are going to add, remember those darts that we drew in that kind of like almond sort of shape? We are going to stitch those in. And what that's going to do, I'm going to just kind of hold the dart there. It's going to make like this little seam right here by the foot, and what that's going to do is force the foot downward. See, so right now it's just going straight out, and if we would just sew this to the rest of the body, his legs would be pointing straight out. If we sew a dart in here first, it's going to force the leg into a downward position versus just being straight and flat. And you can kind of see that on this one. This little dart right here and this little dart right here, it forces the legs to want to go down, so that when he's like this, the legs are going down instead of flying outward like this. Otherwise, he'd kind of be wings like this with a lot of extra fabric. So we're removing a little bit of that fabric, which is going to force the legs down, and that will be the first thing we do tomorrow. So doing those darts, and then we will be sewing the sides of the body to that, and then we're getting there. So I think we'll get a lot done tomorrow, and then we just got a few extra things. Like we got the back legs, we got to stuff him and decide on the eyes yet. And yeah, I'm thinking we might actually need one extra day on this, so we might go into Monday on this, but I think we're going to get it pretty near done this week still. I'm really excited to see how this belly is going to look with the rest of it. And I'm so happy with his little head that we finished today. So, all right, you guys, I think we'll call it there. All right, so hold on. This camera is just not working quite right. Okay. We're back here again, so sorry about that. But here is his little head. I think that's looking so sweet. And tomorrow we will work on the belly here and his little tail. His tail will go on the belly tomorrow as well. Oh, be sure to check out in the shop. I do have these magnetic slap bracelet. So it's like a slap bracelet from the 90s. Just now it's covered in silicone, and it has that fun like magnet for the pins. That worked really well tonight, and I'll be using this for the rest of this project for sure. I like using the pins for this. And yeah, we will keep going on Mr. Bunny here tomorrow. So thanks again, you guys, for joining me here. And I will see you then. Have a great evening. Good night.